My name is Taylor. I am going to be doing my essay on the Sons of Anarchy for place. I'm specifically going to talk about the town of Charming. My thesis is Sons of Anarchy takes place in the town of Charming, which portrays the American values of protection and entrepreneurship, as well as represents the American dream in the sense of a small town with local law enforcement and people on a first name basis. So, I'm not really talking about the American dream as far as family and more along the lines of security and safety and how the Sons of Anarchy work towards keeping their small town of Charming safe. So the first area I'm going to talk about is that Charming holds the American value of protection or safety. The claim is that the Sons desire to protect and control their ideal town, and makes their lives revolve around policing and keeping drugs and problems out of Charming. I found a source that talks about policing in small towns USA, and it pretty much is I'm going to connect the two by discussing how the policing in the small towns work and how Charming or the Sons work as a police force in Charming, because due to it being a small town, they don't have federal policing in Charming. And even though they're outlaws, they want to protect themselves and their families, which reside in Charming, and which means that they strive to keep the crime outside of the border of Charming. So that's how I'm going to go about that. My next topic would be that Charming holds the American value of entrepreneurship. The claim is that the mom and pop shops around town, including Teller Morrow Motors, which is their business, gives the sense of pride of the small town and the American desire to own one's own business. And then I have a source that talks about the dream of entrepreneurship. I'm going to need some help with connecting the two of those, just because their business it's a business, but it also works kind of as a front for their illegal activity of smuggling guns. But the warrant is that the town and the club encourage small business, which is important to the ideal American society, because although it is kind of a front, they work multiple times throughout the show to keep big businesses, specifically big construction businesses, out of Charming and to keep it the way it is and not have those big box stores coming in. So I guess maybe I can get some examples from that portion of the show. And then my conclusion would be the town of Charming impacts every decision that the Sons make because they value safety at home and protection of their neighbors and businesses, and that although there's a lot of crime in the show, they do strive to keep where they live safe. I'm really going to choose to focus on the first 3 seasons of Sons of Anarchy, because it took a really big turn in the later seasons and kind of lost all the values that they originally had set out for the Sons, and they don't exist in the current episodes. And then on my outline that I had submitted, Professor Beckman noted that I'm discussing the rootedness of a motorcycle club, which is, a motorcycle club is all about movement, but I guess I'm going to discuss in the paper that although motorcycles are about movement and that type of a club, their clubhouse and their business and their families and everything is rooted in the town of Charming. So that desire to keep that town safe and small and keep federal policing out of Charming is what makes this club and this show identify purely based off of this town, because ultimately Charming, or the Sons of Anarchy, would not be the Sons of Anarchy if it took place in a bigger town, because they're all about small town and kind of being the policing force and being in charge of everything themselves, because they take on the protector roles of the town. And the one thing that I do need help from you guys, as I mentioned earlier, I need a little bit of help connecting my sources with My claims, I do have the small policing, and that one I can connect pretty well. But the entrepreneurship, I know that is an American dream of entrepreneurship. But since I'm only focusing on the first 3 seasons of Sons of Anarchy, I can't connect their other businesses with entrepreneurship, so I can only connect Teller Morrow. And I don't really, I think I'm gonna have to do some more research on how Teller Morrow, like how much income they bring in the show in comparison to the guns that they sell. And then the other thing I need help with is that I am aware that the Sons of Anarchy identify themselves through charming, because I watch the show, and so I just need to make sure that I am portraying that to you guys. So if you're watching this and you understand how they want to protect Charming, and Charming is their home, and that's all they strive for, and that the show wouldn't be what it is without the town of Charming, then I've done what I need to do, and I need to put it in writing. But if it's not making sense to you guys, I'm going to have to go back. So just let me know if it's being clearly portrayed to you. And yeah, that's it. Okay.